Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Jayo Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Jai Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Jayo Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Januranjana.
Yashodandana Braja Janarandana.
Yashodanandana Braja Januranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Jai Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Jayo Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Jai Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Jayo Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Januranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana.
Yashodanandana Braja Januranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Tira Vanachari.
Jai Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Jayo Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Jai Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Jayo Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, So it's Srila Prabhupada Ki. Whoa. Welcome everyone. So we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is Canto 1, Creation, and it's Chapter 7, the son of Drona punished, and it's text 31. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Uttamam Devim Sivastim Vyasam Tatu Dayodiyayet Nastapresu Padresu Nitam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. So, okay, I'll just read the Sanskrit, text 31. Dristvastra tejas tutasyus trilakan pradadan mahat dayamanaha prajaha sarvaha samravratakam amamasata. Word for word. Dristva, the seeing. Astra, weapon. Tejaha, heat. To, but. Tayaha, of both. Trin, three. Lokan, planets. Pradohat, blazing. Mahat, severely. Dahayamanaha, burning. Pajaha, population. Savaha, all. Over. Sorry, all over. Samvitakam, the name of the fire which devastates during the annihilation of the universe. Amam Sata began to think. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki. Repeat after. I'll just repeat it first. All the population of the three worlds was scorched by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvataka fire, which takes place at the time of annihilation. Repeat after me. All the population of the three worlds was scorched by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvataka fire, which takes place at the time of annihilation. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki. Okay, it's a short one, so it's just about longer than the translation. See what happens. The three worlds are the upper, lower, and intermediate planets of the universe. Although the Brahmastra was released on this earth, the heat produced by the combination of both weapons covered all the universe. And all the populations on all the different planets began to feel the heat excessively and compared it to that of the Samvataka fire. No planet, therefore, is without living entities, as less intelligent materialistic men think. Amaganan Tamarandasya Jana Jana Salakaya Chakshulamitam Ina Tasma Shri Guru Ravi Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Statipam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Gadamayam Dantika Swapadantikam. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupa Sangraritam Sahagana Raguna Devanditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Purijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Badasaha Gandalita Shravisa Kanvitam Secha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopiksha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapa Kanchana Gorangi Radhi Vrindavanishvare Rishabhanu Satadevi Pranamani Hari Praye Vanchikapa Drubhascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo No Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Shivasari Gaura Bhattavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So there's a few ways you can take this, or so we'll see. I'll just read the translation again. All the population of the three worlds was scorched by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvataka fire, which takes place at the time of annihilation. So here, it's a short purport, but there's a few interesting features in it. One, everyone was reminded of the Samvataka fire, which takes place at the time of the annihilation. So everyone was reminded. I was thinking, what does that mean? They mean they could remember? Were they there in a previous, sort of time when the universe was annihilated, or were they reminded because of their knowledge of the process of creation and annihilation, and how it's cyclic, or like we get impressions, for example, we have strong impressions from previous lifetimes. This is, for example, like you might have arachnophobia, scare of spiders. So this may have come from a previous life when you're in the hellish condition, and you got all the gnats and the worms and the spiders biting you, and so in this lifetime you may have a remembrance of that. So there's interesting issues like that, but the purport deals mainly with the structure of the universe. It's saying that three worlds are divided into upper, lower, and intermediate planets of the universe. So one interesting point is that the Vedic definition of the universe is a universe as one sun. There's one sun in the universe. So this is this is different from the materialistic conception of the structure of the I'm not even too sure which term to use. Basically, the construction of outer space. That's probably the safest term to use. So, in the materialistic presentation, you have a sun, and then you have planets, and that's called that's called a unit. It's called a solar system, and then you have loads of solar systems, which you call the universe. That's according to the materialistic definition, but obviously. The Vedic presentation is based on authority, and this authority is coming down from the spiritual platform. It doesn't change over time. It's perfect knowledge, and it isn't found at fault in any circumstance. It's not found at fault. Whereas the knowledge that's presented from the materialistic point of view, is built up from a platform of ignorance, is gradually coming to a particular conclusion over time. So you'll be presenting one theory. One point the Earth was the centre of the universe, and at another point the Sun was the centre of the solar system. At another point the Sun was the centre. Another, whatever, changing over time. So, and also you can get put to death, depending on what opinion you accepted at a particular time, and if it conflicted with the scientific view, then you could be put to death. So very, very strange. But anyway, Hare Krishna.
How dare you disagree?
Sorry?
How dare you disagree?
How dare you disagree with our speculation? Hare Krishna. So the three worlds, upper, middle and lower. So it's a beautiful presentation by Lord Chaitanya's that the living entities travelling up and down samsara. It's like up and down through the upper, middle, lower upper, middle and lower planetary systems. One point you might be a demigod in the heavenly planets. Another point you'll be, suffering in the hellish worlds. And another point you might be a dog or a plant or whatever. 8,400,000 species of life, and we've been through all of them, and so we've. Through great fortune, we've reached the human platform, or the human form of life, and come in contact by the mercy of Krishna, come in contact with the spiritual master, who is presenting this obviously gives you the Bhakti Lata Beach, the seed of devotion, and he's presenting this perfect knowledge, which we can take advantage of. So here there's beautiful descriptions in the Bhagavatam about situations where, say with Lord Brahma, he is in the heavenly planets, he's looking down at Krishna, and Krishna's a little blue boy. Who's this little blue boy? What is he doing? he's having a good time with the cowherd boys and the cows, and all this, and Lord Brahma tries to play a trick on Krishna, and he basically steals the cows and the cowherd boys, and he only comes down for a moment, and he takes them back. Yeah, he takes them back, and he puts them in a cave, which actually is a sinful act. Actually, it's a sinful act, and you can be thrown into a hellish planet just for locking someone up in a cave. Actually mentions that. Anyway, and then he comes back to see how Krishna's dealt with the situation. So it was at a moment is like 6 months, so whatever, and basically he gets bewildered. And the point is that in that pastime, the time scales are really highlighted, that how the time scales on different planetary systems are different. So it's like a long duration of life in the heavenly planets. And then we have in the hellish planets, we have a short duration, really quick, loads of suffering, but so it goes quickly. And then in the middle planetary systems, where you've got Mata Loka, the planet Earth, it's about midway. Okay, it's not hyper quick, but it's short. It's a short duration of life compared to the heavenly planets. But this is why the demigods they're queuing up to take birth on Earth, because it's a very short duration of life, and you can become self-realized really quickly. And it's not too hellish, so you're not suffering that. So you're so disturbed. Mind, it feels like it sometimes. You're not suffering that you're so disturbed that you can't pursue spiritual life. Just hang on in there. And also in the heavenly planets, it's not so enjoyable that you don't really take things, spiritual life, so seriously. You've got a few thousand years to take it seriously, whatever. So here on the earthly planet, on Mata Loka, the moment you realise, the moment you cop on, the moment you catch up with the fact that life is very short, you've come in contact with this spiritual knowledge, and we should use it to our own advantage. The moment you catch up with that, then you begin to take spiritual life really seriously, knowing that you can pop your clogs at any moment, and even if you do reach your full destination of life,
it's still over very quickly. You may, peg out at 85 or whatever, that's still a short time. So I hit 60 yesterday, so it won't be long before I hit 70, it won't be long if I do, it won't be long before I hit 80, it won't be long, whatever, and whatever time you peg out, it's only say 20 years, 25, that goes really quickly. So you must, also you're up against, what are you up against? You're up against an aging body. So the aging body is losing your faculties. That's if you had any. Hare Krishna. It is Kali Yuga. So whatever meager assets you have acquired, you have to use them in Krishna consciousness, and not waste them in the idle exploits of the material paradigm. Which is, you can see that in the lockdown situation, people are saying, I'm going to do this for the next year, I'm going to do, such and such, and my time will be engaged. But the point is, if it's time, it's being engaged, but is it being engaged for the right thing, which is what, to please the Supreme, to please Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So no matter what we're actually achieving, we may be good at something, but that's not the goal of life. The goal of life is to dovetail whatever you can do in the service of the Supreme and go home back to Godhead. The goal of life is not to be good at something and then die. So that's it. Anyway, I think that should be stated. So here, the three worlds are the upper, lower and intermediate planets of the universe. Although the Brahmastra was released on this earth, the heat produced by the combination of both weapons. So here, Ashvatthama has thrown a weapon, and Arjuna's thrown a counter weapon. They're both Brahmastras, and they're combining. And they're producing heat, which is far greater than, I know it says later on, but I'll mention it, far greater than any atomic weapon. And I think that an atomic weapon could destroy this planet is very, very juvenile. It's just not powerful enough. But then that's one point. And the other point Prabhupada makes is that this planet can only be destroyed by the sanction of the Supreme. So no matter how stupid this human race gets, we cannot destroy the planet unless it's actually sanctioned. So this is another point to bear in mind. So here, so these weapons, very powerful, also very very subtle, in that they had a fine degree of control, and they were guided by mantras, a sound, and all the populations on all the different planets began to feel the heat excessively and compared it to that of the Samvat and the Samvataka fire. So the Samvataka fire, so again, when Indra was trying to give the inhabitants of Vrindavan a hard time by sending these Samvataka clouds and trying to inundate the place, those clouds are compared to the devastating clouds at the time of annihilation. So again, at the time of annihilation, everything kicks off. So you've got the sun, it starts glowing red hot, as it's mentioned in here, and that fire destroys the whole cosmos. So, and also it's mentioned here that no planet, therefore, is without living beings. So there's living beings on the lower, middle, and upper planetary systems. And again, interesting speculations from materialistic men saying, at one point we're told that, there's only life on Earth and that's it. So, because we checked it out, so very, not very with it. Also, at the end of the day, we cannot perceive, for example, we cannot perceive that we can see on this Earth that living entities that live in the sea, they have suitable bodies to live in the sea. And fly in the air, you've got a suitable body. Walk on the land, you've got a suitable body. Live underground, like scorpions, got a suitable body. And the scorpions actually can survive nuclear bombs, believe it or not. Because they have these bodies, these suitable bodies that take on a lot of, sort of heat and radiation. They can somehow or other they can survive. And then obviously you've got bacteria, and then right down deep into the sea, you get all sorts of strange animals when the pressure of the sea gets really intense, and they have bodies which are suitable to cope with these types of pressure. And then right towards obviously the sea level, the top of the sea, then you have like dolphins and normal mammals, otters. You know these are like mammals. Bodies that we can relate to. They breathe in. Warm bodies, warm-blooded, etc. So but right at the bottom of the sea, they have like stranger bodies with different constructions. So this is all. You can see all this even within the technological achievements of this civilization at the moment. You can perceive some of this. I mean, obviously, if you had a greater, more advanced civilization, then you'd be able to travel into outer space. You'd be able to sort of perceive more of the actual reality of the structure of the universe. With Arjuna, when he was when he wanted to go and rescue the sons of the Brahmin who were in Dwarka, the sons of the Brahmin who his sons were dying, and Mahavishnu was playing a trick, because he wanted to take darshan of Krishna. So Arjuna, he went with Krishna to all these different places all over the universe, and he was qualified to actually do that. So these sorts of abilities to travel are very totally beyond the mundane conceptions of the material scientists. They would read these books, say Krishna book and Bhagavatam, and say, "Oh, this is just fantasy. This is just speculation." But it's not fantasy. It's not speculations. You can actually experience these by following the process that Srila Prabhupada has come to give us. You can actually have experience of these scriptures as a reality. I'm not saying that you want to go to the hellish worlds or anything like that, but my point is, you can, within this lifetime, you can have some experience of what Srimad Bhagavatam is actually talking about. So no planet, therefore, is without living beings, as less intelligent materialistic men think. The three worlds are the upper, lower, and intermediate planets of the universe, and although the Brahmastra was released on this earth, the heat produced by the combination of both weapons covered all the universe, and all the populations on all the different planets began to feel the heat excessively, and compared it to that of the Samvataka fire. No planet, therefore, is without living beings, as less intelligent materialistic men think. So there's a nice chapter in the fifth canto, and this is how we do for time. Okay, this is about the glories of Lord Ananta, and he actually mentions here about the devastation. I'll just read one or two. Oh, here we go. So this is from Canto 5, chapter 25, and this is the text 3 and the translation. At the time of devastation, when Lord Anantadev desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes slightly angry. It's quite interesting. Slightly angry. What if he got really angry? Oh my God. Then from between his two eyebrows appeared the three-eyed Rudra, carrying a trident. This Rudra, who is known as Sankishan, is the embodiment of the 11 Rudras. And that's the picture at the front. Very interesting. This Rudra, the 11 Rudras, all incarnations of Lord Shiva, he appears in order to devastate the entire creation. Oh, it's quite heavy. In each creation, the living entities are given a chance to close their business. This is a brilliant point here. Close their business as conditioned souls. When they misuse this opportunity and do not go back to Godhead, Lord Sankishan becomes angry. The 11 Rudras, expansions of Lord Shiva, come out of Lord Sankishan's eyebrows due to his angry mood. And all of them together devastate the entire creation. So this is an interesting point here. If your spiritual master ever gets angry with you, you know why. It's because why?
because we're not using this opportunity to go, we're not using this opportunity, we're not taking advantage of the opportunity to pursue spiritual life properly and go back home, back to Godhead. So this is the interesting thing. So brilliant point. Living entities, billions upon billions, they're given the chance to close their business as conditioned souls. Brilliant point. And that they're misusing this opportunity and do not go back home, back to Godhead. So Lord Sankashan gets angry. It describes an interesting description of Lord Ananta. The pink transparent toenails on the Lord's lotus feet are exactly like valuable gems polished to a mirror finish. When the unalloyed devotees and leaders of the snakes offer their obeisances to Lord Sankashan with great devotion, they become very joyful upon seeing their own beautiful faces reflected in his toenails. That's really interesting. Their cheeks are decorated with glittering earrings, and the beauty of their faces is extremely pleasing to see. And there's just one other thing. Lord Ananta's arms are attractively long, beautifully decorated with bangles and completely spiritual. They are white, and so they appear like silver columns. When the beautiful princesses of the serpent kings, hoping for the Lord's auspicious blessings, smear his arms with aguru pulp, sandalwood pulp, and kumkum, the touch of his limbs awakens lusty desires within them. Understanding their minds, the Lord looks at the princesses with a merciful smile, and they become bashful, realizing that he knows their desires. Then they smile beautifully and look upon the Lord's lotus face, which is beautified by reddish eyes rolling slightly from the intoxication and delighted by love for his devotees. Lord Sankashan is the ocean of unlimited spiritual qualities, and thus he is known as Anantadev. He is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the welfare of all living entities within this material world. He resides in his abode, restraining his anger and intolerance. Wow, that's interesting. Anantadev's main mission is to dissolve this material creation, but he checks his anger and intolerance. This material world is created to give the conditioned souls another chance to go back home, back to Godhead. But most of them do not take advantage of this facility. After creation, they again exercise their old propensity for lording it over the material world. These activities of the conditioned souls anger Anantadev, and he desires to destroy the entire material world. Yet, because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is kind towards us and checks his anger and intolerance. Only at certain times does he express his anger and destroy the material world. So you can see this, the lording it over. Obviously, we're in an interesting situation where we're locked down, and now things are coming back to so-called normal. And you can see that I was out yesterday. I was in Harinam yesterday, and then you can see, people are going back to so-called normal, going back to more, the same level of meat eating, the same level of polluting the planet. Because there's a canal which I walk up to, and then over the last couple of days, I noticed it was like scum on it. There was this like white foam. And it wasn't there before. It wasn't there when everything was shut down. So unless the Guinness factory had reopened, I don't know. So I was just thinking, well, everything's getting back to so-called normal. We're getting back to polluting the planet to our normal level. Absolutely crazy, really crazy. So this is lording it over. And when Prabhupada's presenting this knowledge, he's also presenting that we should pursue simple living, high thinking. So with the simple living, if people pursue this, then you don't get these levels of pollution. We don't get this unnecessary, technology, which even I'm using, but this unnecessary technology which should be producing all this pollution. And simple example, yesterday I was in a shop talking to
a friend of mine, and he was saying how, with a simple tambourine, it was a music shop with all madungas and drums, ethnic drums and things like that, and a simple tambourine, they'll put in a plastic bag and send it to the shop so they can sell it. And the shop owner was saying, why are they putting it in a plastic bag? People are not attracted to plastic bags. They actually think they're inferior. They will not be attracted to a tambourine that's in a plastic bag. So what he does, he opens the plastic bag, takes the tambourine out and puts it on display. But the point he was making is that all this unnecessary pollution, totally unnecessary. And we just need to use our intelligence in a practical way to say, do I really need to use this? Do I really need to pollute the planet more than I actually should? Things with I remember we were having this save the earth, this demonstration about the pollution with the earth, and I didn't think about it, but I turned upon a bike. And then they noticed it and they said, oh yeah, Hare Krishna, oh, you turned up on a bike, that was good. Because obviously you weren't polluting the planet as much as a car, But they notice everything, like that. So, I'm doing 808. So what I'm going to make this short because I want to finish on one thing. Wow, this is nice. Oh yeah, this is good. I'll just read these last two and then I'll finish with a little quote from the 7th canto. Sukadev Goswami continued. The demigods, the demons, the Ugaras, or the serpentine demigods, the Siddhas, the Gandharvas, the Vidyadharas, and many highly elevated sages constantly offered prayers to the Lord. Because he is intoxicated, the Lord looks bewildered, and his eyes, appearing like flowers in full bloom, move to and fro. He pleases his personal associates, the heads of the demigods, by sweet vibrations emanating from his mouth. Dressed in bluish garments and wearing a single earring, he holds a plough on his back and with his two beautiful and well-constructed hands. Appearing as white as the heavenly King Indra, he wears a golden belt around his waist and a Vaijayanti garland of ever-fresh tulsi blossoms around his neck. Bees, intoxicated by the honey-like fragrance of the tulsi flowers, hum very sweetly around the garland, which thus become more and more beautiful. In this way, the Lord enjoys his very magnanimous pastimes. If persons who are very serious about being liberated from the material life hear the glories of Anantadev from the mouth of a spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession, and if they always meditate upon Sankirtan, the Lord enters the cause of their hearts, vanquishing all the dirty contamination of the material modes of nature, and cuts to pieces the hard knot within the heart, which has been tied tightly since time immemorial. By the desire to dominate material nature through fruitive activities, Narada Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, always glorifies Anantadev in his father's assembly. There he sings blissful verses of his own composition, accompanied by his stringed instrument, or a celestial singer, known as Tumburu. So none of the descriptions of Anantadev are imaginary. They are all transcendently blissful and full of actual knowledge. However, unless one hears them directly from a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession, one cannot understand them. Thus, knowledge is delivered to Narada by Lord Brahma and the great saint Narada along with his companion. Tumbara distributes it all over the universe. Sometimes the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described as Uttama Sloka, one who is praised by beautiful poetry. Narada composes various poems to glorify Lord Ananta, and therefore the word Shamshlokiyam Asya, praised by selected poetry, is used in this verse. The Vaishnavas in the Gaudiya Sampradaya belong to the disciplic succession stemming from Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the spiritual master of Narada, Narada is the spiritual master of Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam as a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Therefore, all devotees in the Gaudiya Sampradaya accept the activities of Lord Ananta related in the Srimad Bhagavatam as authentic, and they are thus benefited by going back home, back to Godhead. The contamination in the heart of a conditioned soul is like a huge accumulation of garbage.
created by the three modes of material nature, especially the modes of rajas, tamas, and tamas, ignorance. Sorry, rajas, which is passion, and tamas, ignorance. This contamination becomes manifest in the form of lusty desires and greed for material possessions. Well, you can just go out on a shopping, go out in Dublin tomorrow, and you can see all this manifesting. As confirmed herein, unless one receives transcendental knowledge in disciplic succession, there is no question of becoming purified of this contamination. And here's the last translation. By his glance, the Supreme Personality of Godhead enables the modes of material nature to act as the causes of material universal creation, maintenance and destruction. The Supreme Soul is unlimited and beginningless, and although he is one, he has manifested himself in many forms. How can human society understand the ways of the Supreme? This manifestation of subtle and gross matter exists within the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and out of causeless mercy towards his devotees, he exhibits various forms, which are all transcendental. The Supreme Lord is most liberal, and he possesses all mystic power to conquer the minds of his devotees and give pleasure to their hearts. He appears in different incarnations and manifests many pastimes. Okay, so this is the interesting point. So again, with the time of annihilation, it's not just something that happens accidentally. Oh, it just happened. Like the materialists present the creation as just an event. You know, the Big Bang, it's an event, there's no personality behind it. Whereas here the Vedic presentation is that there's always a personality behind an event. So with the creation and maintenance and annihilation of the cosmos, there's always personality. Anantadev, Lord Krishna, there's always, even with the material modes of nature, there's always a personality behind an event. So the modes of material nature are activated by time, but still you have, Lord Brahma in charge of creation, we have Lord Vishnu in charge of maintenance, and then we have Lord Shiva in charge of destruction. So totally different to the materialistic way of life, which is based on sort of exploitation, lording it over, and very impersonal. I'm in it for me, whatever my existence means. When they don't even go there, they don't even go to analyse that particular point. What I'm doing, the goal of life is to have a good time before you die, and whoever assists me in doing that, that's fine, and if you don't assist me, then you're my enemy. And I don't care if I know you or you're my father or mother or brother or sister, whatever, whatever facilitates my enjoyment, that's okay. So gross materialists will go to any length. And later on in the Bhagavatam, it states that Prabhupada was talking about royal families that be killing one another just for to get one-upmanship, a position. This you saw that in the Roman Empire, and obviously in royalty, you've seen that in royalty, and this is just crazy life. Anyway, I'll finish off with this. This is a nice section where Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu, who again, when Hiranyakashipu was doing his austerities, that was on a different timeline, because Prahlad Maharaj was conceived, Hiranyakashipu went off to do austerities, and he's doing it for 1,000 years, and then he comes back and Prahlad's only a little kid. What's going on there? So this is a different timelines again. So in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one practices perfectly in spiritual life. One advances perfectly in spiritual life simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. This is the best process for success in life. In other ages, the chanting of the holy name is equally powerful, but especially in this age, Kali Yuga, it is the most powerful. Kirtanand eva Krishnasya mukta sangaha paramvarajit. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one is liberated and returns home back to Godhead. Therefore, even if one is able to perform other processes of devotional service, one must adopt the chanting of the holy name as the principal method of advancing in spiritual life. So it's a very important point. Yagnir Sankatan Prayer Ye Janti Hi Sumedasaha. Those who are very sharp in their intelligence should adopt this process of chanting the holy names of the Lord. One should not, however, manufacture different types of chanting. One should adhere most seriously to chanting the holy name as recommended in the scriptures. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So just the interesting point that the Prabhupada makes is that one must adopt the chanting of the holy name as the principal method of advancing in spiritual life, even if one is able to perform other processes of devotional service. So this is the key to advancing. So Prabhupada's given this a morning program, obviously, which I'm trying to follow, despite my ill health. But anyway, I think we're back to normal now. But there's one interesting point that's been made. I want to make this point because I was in India. I was for about a month and a half. I was living outside of temples, and I didn't go to any morning programs. And I was doing parikram round Govardhan for about 3 hours a day, and then reading Prabhupada's books. But I didn't go to any morning program. I'm not advocating stop going to the morning. That's not my point. And then someone said to me, I visited Vrindavan, and I was just talking about something, and someone says, "Oh, you're very Krishna conscious," whatever. But the point I'm bringing this up is that it states in Shastra, it says, if we perform Harinam on that day, then you get the full result of going to the morning program. So my point is that I was doing Harinam every day, and even though I wasn't able to go to the morning program, I was still getting the full result. So I got that realization by actually doing it. I'm not saying everyone start going to the morning program. There's a reason that we should go to the morning program, because obviously if we're in the temple, we should follow the program. That's not the point. The point is I'm making is that if we're in a situation where we don't have those facilities, then just by doing Harinam, you get the full benefit. So this is a preaching movement, and we should actually go out and preach as much as we can. And by doing Harinam, you still get the benefits of going to the morning program. So we should travel and go to different towns and perform the Yuga Dharma Harinam. And we can do it for 1 or 2 days a week, 3 or 4 days a week. We should be doing it every day. And the people, they get real... we don't realise, when we do, what effect we're having on people. I mean, yesterday, this woman approached me, and she was a bit rough. It's quite funny. She was a bit rough. She goes, I like it when you go up and you chant. I like it when you go up and you chant every morning, every day. If I really like you doing it. If people give you a hard time, you just tell me, I'll go and duff them up. That's what she said. She said more colourful words. But
You're soft and Indian,
yeah?
You're soft and Indian.
No, I'm giving the soft version. And then later on, I was passing this guy who was working, and he fell over, and this he was a workman, and this wheelbarrow fell on top of him. And I said, "Are you okay?" Whatever. And this policewoman was watching me, and then I thought, and then she just came up to me. Says, and then she just wanted to, acknowledge that, show some concern for someone who was suffering, rather, anyway. And then she said to me, "Yeah, you're just going around chanting, aren't you? You're singing, you're chanting. Why do you do it?" "Oh, I think you do it because it's good for the soul." And that's what she said. This is a policewoman. So you're doing it because it's good for the soul. So that's a great point to end on. Hare Krishna. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Thank you.
So far, there's 2 comments. Karuneshwar Mataji says, Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Mithu Soni says, Jai Shri Krishna.
Try. Hey, boy.
I just wanted to mention maybe what you read from the 7th canto, that looks like we as devotees, we should try to avoid as far as possible provoking Anantadev's anger and intolerance, right? With our inattentive chanting, non-serious Krishna conscious practice. We should try to avoid increasing the anger of Anantadev even more than and this intolerance, right? We should do our part to avoid angering Anantadev.
Yeah. Or as I said, the spiritual master. Yeah. That's true. Very true. And it's just the point. Whatever happens to us, it's all. We've been here for billions and trillions of lifetimes, and we have to be tolerant. And it's only this is going to sound ironic. It's a very short time to be tolerant when you consider it. You have to be tolerant in the heavenly planets because there's distress everywhere. You have to be tolerant in the hellish planets. Obviously, it's over a lot more quickly, hopefully. But we just have to be tolerant, and we have to learn it. And this is Krishna's blessings on us. Is to when we have situations where we're dealing with the mind, it's all about dealing with the mind. And we have to learn to be tolerant, and then we can make quick progress in spiritual life. And you go back to Godhead. We shouldn't really be hanging around here. Who wants to hang around here? Hare Krishna. You don't know what's going to happen. You really don't. Hare Krishna.
Mitra Hare Prabhu comments, Hare Krishna Anantanitaya Prabhu, is it that the time still seems the same if one is in the heavenly planets or on earth or in hell? 100 years in each place still feels like 100 years, even though in terms of being on earth hell seems faster.
My understanding is that being in hell it goes faster, and then on the middle planets it doesn't go so quick, and then on the heavenly planets it goes slow. That's my understanding. I don't know if you can add a comment to that.
It was from Sri Rupa Prabhu.
It was from Sri Rupa.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was from Sri Rupa. Yeah, that's my. I mean, that's my understanding. That's all I can say. And the point is in with Lord. Yeah, I get what you're hinting at. He was with Lord Brahma. It was normal for him. What was a moment for him was like, was it 6 months or a year for like, if you're residing on the earthly planet. But what you're saying is that when you're experiencing this, is it going quicker than Lord Brahma? But I would say, well, it goes pretty quick anyway. But my understanding is it does go quicker when you're on the earthly planet, and it goes really quick. Your experience of 100 years, even though 100 years on the heavenly planets is a very, very long time, but I would say that your experience of it is like slower. And then as you come to the middle planetary system, it goes a bit quicker. You experience that 100 years, and then in the hellish planets, it goes really quick. That's my understanding, but I can't quote any reference. Have you got any thoughts on that, Zena?
Oh, I believe it was the pastime where Krishna went to the cave where Muchukunda was.
Yeah.
Remember, there was he went to the heavenly planets and to fight on behalf of demigods, and when he came back, all his relatives were dead and gone in this planet.
The point is that what Shrup is asking is it's like an inside thing. What he's trying to say is, okay, there's different time scales, right? And then it's going really quickly. Say on the okay, you've got a big compared to the Earth planet, time on the
heavenly planet, it goes really quick, right? So one moment on a heavenly planet
Yeah.
is, like, whatever it is on Earth, it goes really quick. But what Shrup is saying is that, do you experience
do you
it?
perceive? How do you perceive?
Yeah, how do you
it?
perceive it?
Right.
Yeah.
It's, obviously, you perceive it the same way. No, you admitted no.
I
Like
get what you're saying. I
personal
would.
perception of
Yeah.
this same 100 years in heavenly planets, isn't it the same as you perceive it here, or you have a sense of enjoying much longer on the heavenly planets? How come?
From an analytical point of view, in one sense, I would say it's the same.
Because on the moon planet, life is 10,000 years. The Prabhupada mentions on the moon, 10,000 years, and also maybe on Jambudvip, on another Varshas in Jambudvip, is also lifespan is longer than on Bharatavarsha here. So,
But they're queuing up. The demigods are queuing up to take birth on the Earth planet because they know it goes really quickly.
because of Sankirtan movement.
Because of Sankirtan, yeah, and it goes really quickly.
Right.
And then anyway, that's my understanding.
Anyway.
I don't, I can't give a definite answer, but for me, I just queued up to it because of what I read that in the hellish worlds you suffer intensely, but it's over very quickly, and then on the middle planetary system, it goes quick, but there's less suffering, so you can perform spiritual life, and then on the higher planetary systems, it's longer, and the delights the sense of enjoyment is much greater, but there's less chance of taking spiritual life seriously because of all the pleasures. I mean, obviously it can be done because you've got the great Brahmalok, you've got all the sages and stuff. But anyway, that's my understanding. I can't give a clear. That's all I can say. If anyone else out there can give a better presentation, then feel free. But it's a good question, Shrupa. Hare Krishna.
That's it.
Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam. Is there anything? No more questions? Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki.
Jai.
Anyway, that's my answer. Is that it goes quicker. The lower down you go.